Hi guys, I'm a Forester here. Well, I've had this Glock 26 now for several weeks, and I finally took the time to take it to the range and put the very first rounds through it. Not only were they the first rounds that I put through this Glock, they were the first rounds that I put through any Glock, because I haven't fired a Glock before in my life. I want to give a shout out to the range that I use, and it's Shooter's Choice. It's up there at the top of the target, and they're in West Columbia, South Carolina. There are other ranges that are more convenient and also more modern, but Shooter's Choice is my sentimental favorite. It's where I've been going for a long time to shoot my handguns. Now, when I put the very first rounds through a new gun, I want to put them on paper and at an indoor range if possible, just so I can have a better idea of how the gun's shooting and how to get the most out of it. After that, I'll take it outside and shoot some metal in coming weekends. The other thing that I want to do while I was at the range is shoot this Kahr PM9. Now, if you follow my channel, you know that I had problems with these rear sights right here. They actually flew off and they're totally loose right now. But I had some plans for what I was going to do to Loctite those in place, but I wanted to get it to the range and shoot it, and I'll describe what I did just so it would help me figure out where to Loctite them in place. Okay, let's move this out of the way and talk a little bit more about the Glock first. And I've watched a lot of reviews, some of y'all, as I imagine, talk about the grip angle and how naturally this gun points. And to be honest, that's what I found to be the case with this gun. Like I say, it's the first time I ever even held a Glock. I started out at 5 rounds, and before I get into the target, let me just say I have 5 magazines. This one is a flush mount magazine. And then I have 4 others. This one I put a Pierce grip extension on. That was supposed to give me 2 more rounds capacity. I could only put 1 more round in there, but I do like the fact that I can get a full 5-finger grip on it. And all the magazines performed perfectly, and I used 2 different types of ammo. So getting back to the target, I started out at 5 rounds, and I put about 1.5 boxes into this target, with most of them at 5 yards, while I was just learning how to shoot the gun and how the trigger control worked. But you know, basically I lost count of what I shot here because I was just shooting through that open hole. I was very pleased with the way it shot. The trigger took a little bit of getting used to, but like I say, the proof is in the pudding, and I enjoyed how it shot. I moved out to a little more than 10 yards. I think it was more like 12 yards. And the pattern did not open up any at all, which really surprised me. I figured it would be a little bit more wide than that, but that's roughly a 1.5 to 2 inch diameter pattern. Then the one that really surprised me, and I'll zoom in on the head portion of this target. What surprised me was at 15 yards, I put 1 magazine into the head at 15 yards, and other than this round up here that went a little high, all the rest fit well within that head outline. I was really pleased with that, and I don't take any credit for it. I think it was the gun and how naturally it points. The only other thing that I can attribute it to is the sights. Now, these aren't standard Glock sights. These are some night sights that Glock puts on this model, and so I was really pleased with that. I don't know if you can tell right now, but anyway, I'll go into more detail on the sights when I do a full review. So I'm going to go ahead and continue shooting this as I have time, in both inside and out, and I'll bring you a full review in coming weeks. Okay, I want to move on to this Kahr PM9, and like I say, the sights are totally loose. They'll come all the way off if I let them. But what I did was I was going to push them all the way to the left. Let me back up a little bit. Originally what I wanted to do was buy a laser bore sight. I thought that was the most accurate way to adjust the rear sights. But at $15 to $25 or so, or even more, I didn't feel like that was a worthwhile expense for just a one-time use. So what I did is I went to the range and I was going to slide these sights all the way to the left, shoot it, then slide them all the way to the right, shoot it, and then somewhere in the middle, and use that to help me determine where to Loctite them. Well, I slid them all the way to the left, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this, but they're a little bit off center, or they look to be off center to the left in that position. So I really didn't think, I thought this would force the gun to shoot left. But let me show you the target. Okay, so here's the target. This was with those rear sights all the way to the left, and the first 3 rounds were these right here. You know, they were pretty much in line with the bullseye that I was aiming at. They were just a little low. The problem with them being low is I really don't prefer this dot on a post type of sight picture, and I was covering that dot up, which forced them to go low. Okay, so after I adjusted and put the dot on top of the post, they were right on, and then I adjusted a little bit more just to see, and I was shooting a little bit high. Okay, I only had 2 flyers, one here and one here, and all the others were perfectly in line with the target. So I'm really pleased with that, and I don't think I'm going to have to adjust them at all. I'm going to just put them over as far as they'll go and Loctite it in place right there. Even though it looks a little bit off center, I think that's where they need to be. So there you have it. 1 trip to the shooting range and 2 guns in a review. I hope you've enjoyed the review, and I hope you stay tuned for upcoming reviews of the Glock 26. I'm looking forward to doing that. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.